All right, the birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution from Cowork 591 Studios. We are the Bohemian Reformation, and this is the Steve Brown Art Center Podcast Network with producer Blake Tempus. I'm Jim Gillespie, and we're short-handed tonight as Dale is on assignment, on a secret assignment up in northern Iowa as he's investigating whether it's true if they're having Jim Gillespie Day in Lime Springs, Iowa this summer. I'm sure he'll be back with information on that next week. Tonight we're sponsored by Mickey D's Pizza and Lobster. The Farrells are kind sponsors of this podcast. Include them at your wedding, graduation, or festival plans. Don't wait. Their schedule is filling up for 2025. Last time we talked to Mike, he said they were pretty full. Mike's not afraid to work, and I know the people that help him in the food truck aren't either. And I'm sure they'd probably take more things, but you need to get a hold of Mickey D's Pizza and Lobster Truck because they're running out of date. The Steve Brown Art Center is the creative heart of the Buchanan County, with a thriving community where art flourishes with dynamic exhibits and interactive workshops who spark creativity and passion. Discover a world of artistic inspiration at the Steve Brown Art Center. To learn more about the SBAC, go to our Facebook page. One of the reasons we are short in people tonight is the weatherman keeps threatening icy roads, and so our artist in residence right now, Richard Moore Kelly, we advised him to stay home. As I said, Dale is in northern Iowa on assignment. Rather exciting assignment that makes me blush, actually. Another sponsor who's been with us since the birth of the Steve Brown Art Center is Derek's Repair, located in Jesup, Iowa. Contact Derek Marty for your car repair needs. And lastly, as far as sponsors, have you been asking what is up with something going on lately? Everyone has a story, opinions, and experience to share, and they do that on the What Is Up podcast, aired by our friend Bubba Seaman, discussing real life with real people, the good and the bad, the highs and the lows, and everything funny in between. The most interesting yet entertaining podcast that makes people think, one conversation at a time. I would argue with Bubba, but he reads our ad on his too, so thank you, Bubba, for that. After you're done listening to us tonight, check out Bubba Seaman on the podcast, What Is Up? Dale and I are on that podcast that dropped this last Friday. We're on this Friday. And then Bubba and I discuss universal basic income on a third show. So I'm excited for that show to come out. Tonight we're going to talk about a few things. I've been doing something unique. Every day I write an hour and I draw a half hour. And so I'm going to read you one of the essays that I wrote. I'm going to talk about the Iowa women defeating number 4 USC, the day that they retired Caitlin Clark's jersey. I'm going to talk about the 24-hour camera that Joe's Pizza has kindly put up outside of his restaurant in Independence. It's a 24-hour camera that you can watch on video. You can find it on our YouTube channel. That's what they call it, right? A YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. Steve Brown Art Center YouTube channel. I love that. We're getting a lot of things on there. Blake, thank you for doing that. We're going to give you a little bit of Jesup news. We're going to talk a little bit about Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard as it goes to the full Senate floor today. We're going to give you a weekly update of the Steve Brown Art Center, talk about Garrett Fick and John Decker. Need the help of the audience for a couple of things that I'll talk to you about tonight. Then we'll skate our way home, Blake and I will. But first thing I would like to read you, and I talk a lot on here about the Bohemians. In the introduction every week, I talk about the birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution. I talk about the Bohemian Reformation. And a lot of people ask me, well, what's that mean, Gillespie? What is a Bohemian? Are you a Bohemian? Is it a Bohemian that lives in Protovant? Are the Cibulas or the Potacheks, are they Bohemian? Well, they are. Their ancestors come from the region of Bohemia. Bohemia. But the French had a word called Bohemian, and that is how I use that word in our podcast. And so, with that said, here's the essay, Bohemianism. Author of the Bohemian Manifesto, Lawrence Stouffer, says Bohemianism is most glamorous in your youth. Still, at 63 years old, I am a bohemian, drunk on words, paintings, plays, love affairs, travel, meditation, olives, dogwood trees, everydayness, movie images, and once in a while the occasional all-nighter. I am lucky to have many bohemians in my life, and I try to associate with them. A number of them have the three main attributes that make up a great bohemian. Those attributes are courage, audacity, and revolt. A bohemian acts like a rich man with a poor man's income. Their language is poetry. Their truth is their point of view, and they believe God to be an artist. Their sanity is questioned regularly. If they have a computer, they also have a baseball bat very close to it. To a bohemian, being outside is freedom. Stover says there are 5 types of bohemians. The nouveau, and they have a wealth but love to be associated to starving artists. The gypsy bohemian, they create their own nirvana. The beat bohemian, they are wanderers without ownership of materials. The Zen bohemian, they are driven by art, music, and literature. I would argue that probably I am a Zen bohemian. And the dandies, these are monarchs on a shoestring income. Names bohemian prefer are Che, Hasdrubal, Grits, Goose, Cornbread, G. Robert, Boho, and Patchouli. Fragrances around our hippie friends are patchouli, sandalwood, vetiver, Kiehl's, Chinese flowers, frankincense, violet, lilac, rose, mycin, and Dr. Bronner's. Bohos do with their hair what their muse tells them. No Shave November is an example. They show their own personal style when it comes to clothes depending on their eccentricity. For some reason, their clothes are always in style. Bohemians love hats, and those hats fit their personality. Smoke is a bohemian's camouflage. They smoke Lucky Strike and Camels. Emphysema is the bohemian's favorite ant. A bohemian reads Solzhenitsyn while smoking a pipe. In 1921, cigarettes were illegal in 14 states and had laws pending in 20 others. Bohemians are suspicious of a work ethic, so smoking is not a prerequisite. To Bohemians, dust is the ash of Vesuvius, cremains of Joan of Arc, debris of Gaza, and crumbs from Lady Di's wedding cake. Bohemians seek adventure. Candles are Bohemians' answers to electricity. They come from a tribe of narcissists. Most people are the friends of the unwashed. Bohemians are the friends of the unclothed. Free of class, nudity is egalitarian. Clothes are a burden to the Bohemian band, always having nudity in their house. Bohemians tend to disrobe when they see fit. Bohemians are not offended to spend time in sanitarium. As a matter of fact, they consider it to be their summer homes. Bohemians tend to seek refuge in the warmth of sunshine and summer. When things absolutely go south, they may move to a venue most of society fears: a mental institution. Institutions provide a place of creation for Bohemians. Bohos want a place to laugh and are labeled charming eccentricities. For some reason, Bohemians tend to be at home in the asshole of nowhere. A few things you should know about Bohemians. They are always welcome for a while. When they travel, they don't like tourist attractions. There's no telling how long they will come to your house to visit. Bohemians have a relationship with their vehicles. Road signs seem to be a suggestion. Bohos believe the writing will end up in a museum. They must be intoxicated regularly. Absinthe seems to set their creative juices flowing. For the Bohemian in poverty, warm wood allows them to brew their own absinthe. To the Bohemian, an art opening is considered a happy hour. Bohos rarely order their own champagne. Needless to say, they will drink it. The Bohemian's drink is homemade or imported. Our Bohemian brethren take kindly to free alcohol. Bohos rise with coffee. Turkish being the Jones of all coffee. Bohemians don't frequent the shops. Yuppies enjoy Perhaps the draw to coffee is the drug coffee shops are the hangouts of revolutionaries. Some bohos are smitten with tea. Bohemians don't buy sugar and rarely use it in their tea. Once in a great while, they will spirit sugar out of a coffee shop and use it in the tea that they don't enjoy. Don't insult a Bohemian with any warm drink that doesn't have any caffeine. Bread, wine, and cheese are the staples of a meal for Bohemians. Still, they appreciate exotic. If the food is not exotic, the atmosphere is. Bohemians are the stars at picnics. They dress for dinner and are disappointed if you are not. Sandalwood is a must in their spice rack. Bohos lack focus when they are cooking. Coffee is their main food group for breakfast, ingested after the square has their lunch. If guests, they will eat whatever is put in front of them, from tenderloins with everything to oyster stew. They tend to bring a bottle of wine to dinner that fits the moment or they can afford. They may bring the host a book bohos like to read. Some books that Bohemians carry in their surplus medic bag include Venus in the Kitchen, Utopia, The Art of War, Animal Farm, 1984, The Greatest Salesman in the World, The Odyssey, The Gilgamesh, The Bible for the Sinners, and Walden's Pond. For some reason, Bohemians are taken with French wine when they are in a battle with their finances. If eating out is not an option, black coffee in a coffee shop is their go-to. Usually the barista in the coffee shop reminds them of their first love. Bohos look for the holes in the wall bars, food that has the flavor of the Middle East. If a Bohemian falls into money, they will take their best friend to the high-priced restaurant and drink the best wine with their meal. If you're buying, the boho will be the first at whatever establishment you want, because fringe Bohemians often drink alcohol. They don't mind having Bohemians around. Popcorn and pancakes are their mainstay when they lack money. Bohemians live wherever it is free or they can afford it. Bohemians feel the same way about animals, that they should live in freedom. Animals are the muses to Bohemians and appreciate an animal that can feed itself. As far as love is concerned, their love is unconventional. Bohos can't discriminate between love and art. To Bohemians, love for someone is brighter than a hot Georgia sun. Bohemians don't love forever, nor can they receive love forever. Bohemians' best work is done when their heart is broke. Never love a Bohemian unless you want the particulars to be public knowledge. The relationships do not include expensive meals. They meet lovers everywhere, anytime. Bohos is usually blind to jealousy. Bohemians who are not foreign to love tend to end things slowly with an overconsumption of alcohol. Bohemians have a disdain for marriage. Any documentation of a wedding or a marriage usually sends them into a disappearance. In a truly perfect world, there is no marriage. Sometimes Bohemians use a wedding as an excuse for a party. Sometimes Bohemians marry for benefit. They will marry in churches, barns, in a river, or a train, or in the woods. Bohemians have a diverse group of genres that they read on their bookshelves: kitchen table, toilet tank, and floor. A few of the unique reads you can find in their library include Bomb and Gasoline by Gregory Corgo, Jesus' Son by Dennis Johnson, and Still Life with Woodpecker by Tom Robin. Bohemians' life is art. There's no difference between arts and crafts in their eyes, and a boho doesn't have to go to school to be an artist. Everything is a Bohemian's canvas when they create art. A boho may place tinfoil on the wall of their bedroom. Bohemians aren't afraid to make guerrilla art. Bohos like to provoke or disturb. They will support art even if they don't like it. Bohemians admire artists that are revolutionaries or anarchists. All types of people are accepted by bohos as subject matter. As a matter of fact, they search unique people out for their genre. Bohos like controversy. They enjoy rebellion even more than anarchy. They search out the underdog artists. They will even fight for those artists, even if the society questions them. Bohemians like to provoke and disturb. As far as the cinema, Bohemians like risque or artsy movies. They are not afraid to let people know that they like Russ Meyer's films. They like James Dean, Boris Karloff, Johnny Depp, Bohemians say they would rather read the book, but if you drive by their flat at midnight, their television is flickering an old movie. A Bohemian will go to the movies alone. Music is life to Bohemians, and they will go to a concert. It doesn't matter what the venue or who is playing. If they are musicians, they will play in your yard. If they aren't musicians, they will play in your house. They think karaoke is a travesty, and they wouldn't be found dead doing it. They play music from different devices, from weather radios to modern sound systems from the latest computer. Keep them away from the radio in your car. They will not leave it alone. They would rather listen to NPR instead of MSNBC. They frequent old record stores. They know world music and will play it without you asking. They love music while bathing. They will listen to everyone from Dizzy Gillespie to Elvis Costello, Sinead O'Connor, to John Prine. I, my friends, and proudly admit I am a Bohemian. This is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. I'm Jim Gillespie with producer Blake Tempus, and we are short-staffed tonight, so bear with us, ladies and gentlemen, as we battle through it. I talked to my friend and Wapsie Valley Girls basketball coach Tim Kelly and his wife Diana, and they told me that they went to the Iowa women's game last Sunday, and they watched as the Iowa women defeated number 4 USC in an incredible fun game. That was the day Caitlin Clark's uniform was retired, and it was a homecoming for Lisa Bluter and several of Caitlin Clark's teammates. David Letterman was there sitting right next to Bluter. It was just a fun game to watch, and the seniors showed up late in the game and helped them win. It was a rather unique feeling to watch Caitlin Clark and watch this year's team, because both deserved love and respect for what happened. Caitlin Clark for all that she's accomplished for women's basketball worldwide, and the Iowa women for upsetting number 4 USC. I felt a little ill at ease, actually, because you could tell attention was taken away from each other. But it was a neat day, to say the least. If you get a chance, go to our YouTube page and check out the Mustang camera, the 24-hour Mustang camera located at Joe's Pizza on the intersection of 150 and 1st Avenue, I believe it is northeast in Independence. You can see all happenings there. And I know at least one time the police have used it. Blake, have they been back to you since that first time?
No, they haven't.
They haven't. Okay. All right. Whenever I go on, almost invariably, there's one person on there. I don't know if it's you or on there when I go on there, or Joe's on there, or the most that's ever been on there when I've been on there at a time is 4 people. Has there been more than that? Do you see the comments that people put on there?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. There's not a ton of them, but sometimes there's some in there.
Okay. Like I put on a number, but anyhow, go to that. It's rather unique. It's one of the clearest pictures I've ever seen from an outdoor camera like that. I mean, it doesn't show license plate numbers, but I don't think it's meant to. But the picture is extremely clear, which is wonderful. The Steve Brown Arts Center is in negotiations with the Depot Board in Independence to show art there 4 days a week for 16 weeks in the summer, from Memorial Day until Labor Day. And we are getting closer and closer to that. We haven't closed the deal on that, but barring any problem, I can see that probably will happen. That's exciting news for us, exciting for artists in our area. If you get a chance, look up or go to the Sanity Room, February 15th. We've showed Garrett in M's coffee shop before. Garrett Ficken is having a show in the Sanity Room from 2 until 5. I believe that's a Saturday, 2 until 5. And they will also have a wine tasting as well. So stop in. Don't forget, we are also on our Facebook page having 14 Days of Valentine's with John Decker. And from February 1st till February 14th, we are having a new piece of art by John Decker. Also, we are showing John Decker in M's Coffee right now. So stop in there and see him, have a cup of coffee at M's, and look up John's or look at John's art. One thing that we are looking for is help to meet new artists. Our goal is to meet one new artist a month. Last month we met the art teacher at Independence Middle School, and he was very exciting. We met him at the Laces meeting. The Laces meeting is coming up 2 weeks from this coming Tuesday, and I will have more news from that. This is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. The DOGE, I believe it stands, and tell me if I'm wrong here, Blake, the Department of Government Execution, is that what it is? Efficiency, thank you. Department of Government Efficiency. Elon Musk and several of his accountants have been going office to office, and this week they went into the Department of Education, and I feel the need to talk about this. I realize Elon Musk is the richest man in the world presently, and I realize that he has an unlimited budget, which is remarkable. Blake, I can't imagine having an unlimited budget. I got a lotto ticket out in my truck. If I win, I'll win $113 million. I'll get half that, but even with that, I won't have an unlimited budget. Elon Musk and his troubleshooters have been going into these offices. They've been sending letters to government employees saying, if you quit now, you will be paid until September. Now, what he's trying to do is he's trying to remove people that work only 5 days a week and don't work a weekend. He doesn't think that government workers like teachers, and I was a government worker for more than 35 years. But I will tell you, and I will use other teachers as this example, as an example. I don't know one teacher that works 5 days a week. I can give you the example of at least two English teachers that they get to school at 6:30 and leave school at 6 o'clock and then go home and read until 10 o'clock and then read 8 hours a day on Saturday and Sunday. So Elon Musk doesn't realize what is going on in education, let alone public education. Every place of business, it doesn't matter if it's private or it's public, you have people that don't work hard. But I will tell you, there are a few teachers that you don't get their money out of, that don't work more than their 40 hours that they are contracted for in the school week. It's a tragedy that this man is trying to say he knows what he doesn't know. And to send these letters to these people, it doesn't matter if it's a public educator or it's a person that works in the Department of Agriculture. It's not fair. As far as other things going on in the government, Tulsi Gabbard for the Office of Director of National Intelligence, and Bobby Kennedy, the Health Secretary for the Department of Health, they go to the floor of the Senate this week, and bettors are betting that they're going to make it. Last week at this time, when Dale and Mike and I sat here, the money was against them. But something's been done to their credit, and I would have been disappointed if the Secretary of Defense made it, who was an abuser of women, and Tulsi Gabbard didn't make it, who is a woman and was in the military, it would have been a travesty. And one of the reasons that they were going to go after Gabbard was she was a woman. And I would argue with any of our listeners about that. Like all of us, to a new job, they all need time to grow. And we may not like how they grow. It's sort of like the tree out in my yard. I don't like the shape it's taken, but it's growing. Well, we'll see if these people grow. The Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. If you'd like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center or have an idea for an event, go to the SteveBrownArtsCenter.org and follow the link. If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@SteveBrownArtsCenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. It's rather interesting, Blake. I checked out the numbers last couple weeks, and last week at this time we had 24 listeners. This week we have 11 listeners at this time. I don't understand. I wish I understand. You must not be holding your nose right when we do the podcast on certain.
Apparently not.
Yeah, you're here, so you're easy to blame.
All right.
I'm Jim Gillespie with producer Blake Tempus. And I want to thank all of our listeners. You people are some of the most loyal people in the world. We have listeners in Kansas City. We have listeners in Chicago. We have listeners in Ireland. We have listeners in Scotland. We have listeners in Des Moines. We have listeners in Jesup. We have listeners in Littleton and Independence. And I'd like to thank you for your loyalty. As always, thanks Kelly Seahouse. Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs into your life, and have a great Valentine's. Make sure you take care of your loved ones on Valentine's Day. It's not cool that the neighbor lady gets flowers and your lady doesn't. Get your lady some flowers, guys, and remember, each day is about little victories.